Hello everyone! In this lesson, we are going to install WordPress on our local server. So in our previous lesson, we just set up this fictional university.test website, but this page is not very impressive. So in this lesson, we are going to delete this placeholder page and replace it with a brand new empty blank WordPress website. Without further ado, let's get started right now. So the first step to creating a new WordPress site is to go and download the WordPress software. So in a new browser tab, search for wordpress.org. It's very important that we visit wordpress.org instead of wordpress.com. The .com is a service that you sign up for, and they host your website on their servers. Whereas the .org is just a place where we can download the WordPress files and then host those files on any server that we choose. All right, so let's head over to wordpress.org, and then towards the top right, we should see a download button. So go ahead and click that. And now from this page, we just want to click this download button here. And when your download completes, then just navigate to wherever you saved the file to. So in my case, on my computer, that's the downloads folder. Okay, and here I see that new file that I just downloaded from WordPress. It's a .zip file, so our next step is to unzip or extract it. If you're on Mac, you can just double-click the file. If you're on Windows, you can right-click on it and choose the extract option. Okay, but either way, once we extract the zip file, then we will have a brand new folder. And if we look inside that folder, we see tons of files and folders, and these are the guts of WordPress. So now the question becomes, what do we do with these files? Where do we move them? How can we use these files to power our fictional-university.dev website? Well, let's begin by locating the index.php file that controls this page. So remember that folder that we created either on our desktop or in our documents folder or somewhere convenient? We named it local sites or projects or something along those lines. So if we open up that folder, remember this is where our local server lives. And at the moment, we just have the one website, the Fictional University website. So let's go into that folder. And from here, let's go into the app folder. Okay, and here is the index.php file that controls what we see here on our website. So our website is powered by whichever files live within this app folder. So if we want to begin using WordPress for this website, all we need to do is go into the app folder and replace this index.php file with all of the WordPress files that we downloaded just a few moments ago. So to do that, I will begin by deleting the lonely index.php file in our app folder. So let's delete this file. And now I just want to move over all of the files from our downloaded WordPress folder. So you can either click and drag to highlight all of these files and folders, or the keyboard shortcut to do that same thing is Command-A on Mac or Control-A on Windows. Okay, but once you've got all of the files highlighted, then let's just drag them over into the app folder. Okay, now we are just one step away from being up and running with WordPress. And this last step has to do with databases. So WordPress needs a database where it can save everything. All of its pages, all of its posts, all of the settings, all of the everything. Now, WordPress cannot find or create a database on its own. It needs our help. And the way that we help WordPress find a database to save to is by editing this wp-config-sample PHP file. The first thing that we want to do is rename this file so that it no longer contains the word sample in its name. So just rename it and remove the sample from the end so that it's simply wp-config.php. Okay, now our next step is to open up this file in our text editor. Remember in our previous lesson, I had you install either Sublime Text or Atom. So right now, open this file up in your text editor program. Here it is. And now I want you to scan down the page visually a bit, and we are looking for this line of code. It says define and then db_name, and what we want to do is edit this part that I'm highlighting right now, the part that reads database_name_here. Now, if you are using my VirtualBox and Vagrant local server environment, all you need to do is replace this highlighted text with db name. All right, and then a few lines below that, on this line, we want to take this highlighted part that reads username_here. We want to replace that with db user. Okay, and then finally, on the line right below that, where we see define db password, this part that I'm highlighting right now, password_here, let's replace that with 1, 2, 3. Okay, and again, if you are using my VirtualBox and Vagrant setup, then at this point you can save this file and skip ahead in the lesson a bit. However, if you are not using my VirtualBox and Vagrant setup, and you are instead using something like MAMP or XAMPP, or any one of the other thousands of local server solutions, if that's the case, then these three values will not work for you. And what you'll need to do instead, for this first value, instead of db name, you'll need to create a new database, and then whatever you name it, use that name here instead of db name. So the question becomes, how in the world do I create a new database? Well, if for your local server solution you're using something like MAMP or XAMPP or something similar, it probably installed something on your computer named phpMyAdmin. You can usually find a link to phpMyAdmin from the MAMP or XAMPP starter page. Each of the different local server solutions will place phpMyAdmin in a slightly different location, and because there are so many different local server programs to choose from, there's no way for me to definitively tell you where to look for it. So if you're having a hard time finding phpMyAdmin on your computer, I recommend Googling for the name of your local server setup, so MAMP or XAMPP for example, and then how to find phpMyAdmin. Okay, but once you do find phpMyAdmin, it will look something like this. And remember, our goal here is to create a new database. So to do that, I want you to click this first tab or link here that reads Databases. So once I click that, now I have this field here that I can click on, and I can name the new database whatever I want to call it. Now in our VirtualBox and Vagrant example, I named it db name, but you could give it a more creative name like Fictional University or My First Website, or you could literally name it Unicorn or Pizza. Okay, so the name doesn't matter, just choose a name that you can remember and that you'll associate with this website, and then go ahead and click this Create button. Okay, so once you do that and you've created the database, then jump back over to your text editor, and on this line, instead of db name here, replace it with whatever you just named the database. Okay, next, for the username and password values, there's no way for me to give you definitive values here because each local server program uses a different username and password. For example, the MAMP local server program, its username value here would be root, and its password value would also be root. However, that may not be the case in all versions or for all operating systems, and it's definitely not the case for XAMPP or any of the other local server programs. So what I recommend right now is you pause the lesson and Google for the name of your local server program and then database username and password. After a bit of research, you should find the correct username and password values. And once you place them here and here, then go ahead and save this file. In my case, because I am using my VirtualBox and Vagrant setup, I'm going to set the username back to dbuser and set the password back to 123. But anyways, now if I save this WP config file and jump back to my web browser, in the tab where I'm visiting fictionaluniversity.test, If I refresh this page now, we see the WordPress install screen. So go ahead and choose from all of the available languages. I will choose English, click Continue, and next, let's give our site a title or name. So you could get creative, but I'm just going to name it Fictional University. Then choose a username for yourself. You can make up whatever you like, so instead of admin, you could use your name. It's totally up to you. And then this next field is very important. You'll notice that WordPress already generated a random password for you. Now you don't have to use it. You can delete that and then type whatever you want here for your password. But I do want to bring that to your attention that it gives you a password by default, because sometimes people will just blast right through this screen and not even take notice of the randomly generated password, and then they are essentially locked out of their own website. Okay, so take note of your password, then enter in your email address, and then click Install WordPress. Okay, from this success screen, go ahead and click the Login button. I think you know what to do from here, so go ahead and log in. And this is our very own brand new, completely fresh WordPress website. It's just like any other WordPress website you've ever worked on in the past, only this one lives on your personal computer, so you're the only person in the world who can view this website. Now that's actually going to bring this lesson to a close, and from here you have a choice of where you go next. If you want to work on the main project of this course, right, where we build the Fictional University website, then you will want to return to the very first chapter or section of the course and find a lesson named First Taste of PHP. Or, on the other hand, if you've already worked through the main project of this course, and now you're just trying to learn more about VirtualBox and Vagrant, you might be interested in the next lesson where we learn how to create a second and third and fourth website. We sort of cheated with the fictionaluniversity.test website because I set up the configuration for it, I created the database for you. So if you want to learn more about how all of that works and how to create additional sites within your one Vagrant environment, go ahead and watch the next lesson. Either way, whichever you choose, let's keep things rolling.